Herzlich willkommen, Sianamgela, and welcome to the Bundesliga Connection with Chris Harrington on the SL Podcast in partnership with DW Berlin.
It's time for the latest from Germany's domestic football league, the Bundesliga, and more. For that, we are joined by Chris Harrington from our partner station Deutsche Welle in Berlin, Germany. Chris, the Bundesliga's final match day was quite dramatic. Stuttgart survived, winning at home, but Hertha Berlin conceded late to Dortmund, and now they are in the relegation playoff.
Yeah, Stuttgart was in a must-win situation, and they delivered. I think they had the momentum behind them, considering they were coming off of that draw with the champions Bayern Munich. And it was Wataru Endo in the 92nd minute. This midfielder has made an appearance every time Stuttgart has. It was his 34th, and he came through. Not too long ago, Stuttgart were in the second division, so the win was that much more important. And the fans stormed the pitch, and their opponents, despite losing, they're headed to Europe. So it was a win-win situation in that fixture. Hertha, on the other hand, has been giving me headaches. Felix Magath, a couple match days back, pointed the finger at Bayern Munich, talking about, hey, Bayern, you guys falling asleep. You guys aren't putting up a big effort, against the opponents. Some teams are really serious. That's not a good look. That suggests you're not focused on yourselves. And they had an opportunity. All they needed was a point, but Erling Haaland and company, Erling Haaland delivered his farewell. Of course, he's headed to Man City. And then the youngster, 17-year-old Mukoko, checks in a minute later, gives Dortmund the victory. In my opinion, it wasn't this match that Hertha put themselves in this relegation playoff situation. It was a couple match days ago. They leveled with Arminia Bielefeld, and then they lost to Mainz with another late goal. So when you factor those two things in, I guess, Kevin Prince Boateng, who I thought was coming back to kind of provide leadership, well, hopefully that team can figure out what to do. But all in all, they're facing Hamburg. Many would argue that's a win-win situation because Hamburg, of course, had their famed clock they had to recently reset because they were the longest standing team in the Bundesliga, yet to be relegated. Well, they'll have their opportunity to reset that clock, but nonetheless, I think it's a win-win situation. Sad to see Hertha had an opportunity to avoid this relegation playoff spot, but another late goal sealed their fate.
Chris, RB Leipzig are heading back to the Champions League. Who else is heading to Europe?
Well, the Bulls, RB Leipzig, what can you say? Christopher Nkunku, I know I drop his name a lot, but there's a reason I do. 20 goals and 13 assists. I think he's looking really good with that team, and hopefully they do better than they did this previous season in Europe. But, of course, the usual suspects, Bayern, Dortmund, Leverkusen, and as we mentioned, RB Leipzig, Union Berlin, led by the Nigerian striker Taiwo Awoniyi, looked really good. He netted a brace, to farewell to the season. Freiburg just missed out their chance in the Champions League, but the Europa League is not too bad. And Cologne, as I mentioned, led by Anthony Modeste, who's been putting up magnificent numbers ever since he returned to Cologne, is headed to the Europa League as well. When you look at Frankfurt and how they are on the verge of competing for the Europa League final, for that championship, it goes to say that the Bundesliga teams cannot be slept on when it comes to Europe, even though the Champions League, we don't have any representation this year.
Bayern's Robert Lewandowski led the league in goals once again, but he did say he may have played his last game with Bayern.
Yeah, of course, he's being diplomatic, but he made it clear, the best way he can without saying, I want to go, I don't want to suit up. He said, he's not 100% that he's played his final game. So there's doubt in his mind. It's clear that he has a relationship with Xavi, at Barcelona. So maybe that deal, he wants the deal to get done. Robert Lewandowski's camp wants the deal to get done. But the reality is his contract doesn't expire until 2023. And Bayern's president recently came out and said he's going to fulfill his contract, point blank, period. And that's kind of like indentured servitude in some respects. Hopefully Lewandowski puts up the kind of numbers he has been putting up, but age is not an issue when it comes to Barcelona. They signed Dani Alves. He was 38 years old, so age is not a number at all. Lewandowski suited up in every match in the Bundesliga this season. That speaks to his durability. I think I don't know if they'll be able to come up with enough money to entice Bayern to allow him to leave, because Bayern don't really have a suitable replacement right now. You know, as you mentioned, Lewandowski did lead the league once again in scoring. He's led the last 5 leagues. You don't replace that kind of offense so easily. Bayern know that. I think it'll just be a really tough year for Lewandowski, just counting the days until he can finally depart, possibly.
Frankfurt is going to be competing in the Europa League final on the 18th of May. How do you see that match going?
Well, this is a tough one to call. The Scottish side, they ejected RB Leipzig. You know, they've won 3 on the bounce domestically. The mindset matters entering into these kind of matches. You know, Frankfurt, they've been on a run of draws. Who are we kidding? They've only been successful on the European pitch. That could go in their favor. Of course, they're going to have droves of fans fly in to support them. They believe anything is possible in the build-up. You know, they won in Barcelona. They did defeat 2 home defeats for Bayern Munich, this season. They have Kevin Trapp between the posts, not this particular season, but, in certain respects, Kevin Trapp, back to him, he's been remarkable. I think it comes down to fate, and who has the better game plan moving forward. I like, to believe that Frankfurt can return to their success they tasted way back in 1979 when they won the Europa League. Of course, I'm biased. I'm pulling for the Bundesliga side, but they're going to have to flip the switch and earn those 3 points, or it could go to a penalty shootout for all we know. But regardless, Kevin Trapp is going to have to be on his A game if he wants to bring any silverware back for the Bundesliga side.
Thank you very much for the Bundesliga update, Mr. Chris Harrington from our partner station Deutsche Welle in Berlin, Germany. Have a fantastic day further.
Danke und auf Wiedersehen.
The Bundesliga Connection is a team effort driven by the following incredible individuals. The show is hosted by Aidan Hewitt and Chris Harrington. It is produced by Chris Harrington. It is edited by Aidan Hewitt and Uli Presch, and graphics are provided by David Scullard.